That's my Last Duchess painted on the wall, looking as if she were alive. I call that piece a wonder now. Frau Pandolf's hands worked busily a day, and there she stands. Wilt please you sit and look at her? I said Frau Pandolf by design, for never read strangers like you that pictured countenance, the depth and passion of its earnest glance, but to myself they turn, since none puts by the curtain I have drawn for you but I, and seemed as they would ask me, if they durst, how such a glance came there. So, not the first are you to turn and ask thus. Sir, 'twas not her husband's presence only, called that spot of joy into the Duchess's cheek. Perhaps Frau Pandolf chanced to say, her mantle laps over my lady's wrists too much, or paint must never hope to reproduce the faint half-flush that dies along her throat. Such stuff was courtesy, she thought, and cause enough for calling up that spot of joy. She had a heart, how shall I say? Too soon made glad, too easily impressed. She liked whate'er she looked on, and her looks went everywhere. Sir, 'twas all one, my favor at her breast, the dropping of the daylight in the west, the bough of cherries some officious fool broke in the orchard for her, the white mule she rode with round the terrace, all and each would draw from her alike the approving speech, or blush at least. She thanked men, good, but thanked somehow, I know not how, as if she ranked my gift of a 900 years old name with anybody's gift. Who'd stoop to blame this sort of trifling, even had you skill in speech, which I have not, to make your will quite clear to such an one, and say, just this or that and you disgust me, here you miss, or there you exceed the mark, and if she let herself be lessoned so, nor plainly set her wits to yours, forsooth and made excuse, e'en then would be some stooping, and I choose never to stoop. Oh, sir, she smiled, no doubt, whenever I passed her, but who passed without much the same smile? This grew, I gave commands, then all smiles stopped together. There she stands, as if alive. Will't please you rise? We'll meet the company below then. I repeat, the Count, your master's known munificence, is ample warrant that no just pretense of mine for dowry will be disallowed, though his fair daughter's self, as I avowed at starting, is my object. Nay, we'll go together down, sir. Notice Neptune, though, taming a seahorse, thought a rarity which Claus of Innsbruck cast in bronze for me.
So we had the poem My Last Duchess by Robert Browning, and the speaker is the Duke of Ferrara, and the occasion is that he's walking through his art gallery, and we can tell this by the last couple lines. He says, notice Neptune, though, taming a seahorse, though a rarity, which Claus of Innsbruck cast in bronze for me. And that's just like another art piece, and combined with how he's talking about this painting of this Last Duchess the whole time, shows that he's just in his art gallery. The audience, Browning didn't write to a specific audience. It was just like a story to portray this duke. And his purpose is to portray this duke in a very condescending way. And he does this often in like little interruptions, like with this interruption right here. And he talks about how he'd never stoop to blame, and he chooses not to stoop, and then he goes on to stoop to that same level. So he's like showing that this duke tries to show that he has morals and raise himself above others, but then he just does it anyways. And the subject is this picture of his wife, the Duchess, and she's passed away. And the whole time it's like the emotional problems that he had with her when she's alive, and they're being passed on to the problems that he has with this painting of her. And so like one of the examples is, he says, Sir, 'twas not her husband's presence only called that spot of joy into the Duchess' cheek. And this combines with a later sentence. It says, "O sir, she smiled no doubt whenever I passed her, but who passed without much the same smile." And this shows that it was a painting because she gives the same smile to everyone. And so this can go with the painting and the actual Duchess, and it just adds to the metaphor of the wife compared to the painting, that her smile is the same for everyone, and she's easily impressed here, and here she thinks everyone the same, treats everyone the same. So that just solidifies the metaphor of the painting and the wife. And then the tone is very condescending and jealous because he doesn't like how this painting and the real Duchess treats everyone the same. He wants to be special. He seems a little crazy. It's like he's making up stories in his head, because he says, "But to myself they turned to tell him something," like an imaginary group of people tells him, "Since no one puts by the curtain I have drawn for you but I," which means no one sees his painting but me. "And they seemed as they would have asked me." So no one has ever asked him this, but he just makes up these stories in his head, which causes him further craze and jealousy, and then he just goes upon his day. So that's how this Duke is portrayed in this poem.